Hi, I'm Liz Scott, and today we're going to be diving into managing cash flow with QuickBooks Online and the cash flow tools that are available to us. So, the thing that I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So, my name is Liz Scott, and I have an accounting firm in Oklahoma. And what we focus on is small businesses who are using the QuickBooks ecosystem. So, the reason I say ecosystem is that's QuickBooks Online and all of those related apps that actually are a suite of tools to be able to help you manage your business in partnership with somebody like myself. So that way we can make sure to help you in the best position possible for creating these businesses that you really love and you want to operate. So, with that being said, I'd like to tell you today's presentation is going to be very exciting because it speaks directly to my area of interest, which is awareness about your financial position. And that includes your cash flow story. So, we're going to go through a little explanation about that. So if you missed the April 20th session, then I'm going to do a little bit of a slight review and then also move you forward so that way you understand how to best operate inside of your business. So the areas that we're going to be focusing today is cash flow planning, the QuickBooks tools for that, QuickBooks reports, and then also forecasts and budgets. And all of that is available to you in the QuickBooks ecosystem. So whenever we're thinking about cash flow planning, we need to think about what is the definition of cash flow planning. And whenever we think about that, this is actually the movement of money going in and out of your business. And so how much money do you have to be able to operate? And so those operating dollars are there to help you to be able to cover your upcoming expenses, to cover your upcoming payroll. Maybe you're in growth mode, and so you need to make sure that you've got some capital reserved to be able to finance all of those things that are goals within your business. So cash flow planning is the steps that you have to take in order to start growing that business, or maybe just being more profitable. Maybe that's what you're after. So whenever we think about cash flow planning, a lot of this has to do with our calendar. If we think about all of the money that comes into the business and out, usually are date sensitive. For example, you might go out on Monday to a customer, perform some type of service, you give them the invoice, and then you say, I need you to pay this within the next 30 days. Well, we know that once the service is performed, sometimes our businesses or these even customers that might be individuals, they see that the problem has been solved. And so sometimes they delay paying you until the very, very end of that 30 days, or at the time they forget. So managing the calendar and managing those dollars that are coming in, that is really important because you need to be able to have that operating capital in order to then have the expenses that are coming up. So if you went out and you performed some services on Monday, well, then on Friday, you need to pay all of those people who helped to perform that job, or all of the vendors who helped to supply the goods for that job. So you really can't wait 30 days to receive your cash because you've got to make payroll on Friday, and maybe those vendors need you to pay immediately. So this is whenever we start thinking about, if we're managing the calendar, we're managing also when that money comes in and when that money comes out. And so if we're using something like the tools that are designed to help you in the QuickBooks ecosystem, if you're using QuickBooks Online for your online invoices, and then you're using QB Payments, which is the QuickBooks Merchant Service account, you could actually swipe the card out in the field, or you can invoice them right there directly. And that way they can pay you at the moment that the services were performed. And now you're no longer worried about payday Friday that's coming up. You've got the cash to be able to cover those upcoming expenses. So this is just really all about managing your calendar of incoming money and outgoing money really hyper important, and I think it's fascinating. So if you look at this diagram here, this is going to help to kind of give you a visual aid whenever you're thinking about cash is king of your business. I'm sure you've heard that over and over again. And so what does that mean? Let me kind of break that down. So if we're talking about a cash flow plan, we want to think about in April, we have an ending balance that was March, this March dollars, that's going to start off our month. So it's not just you wake up on April 1st and you have money in the bank. No, you actually got the leftover residual monies from March to then to be able to say, we're going to increase those March dollars by having deposits come in for the services and goods that we sell. And then we have money going out. And that's going to be those expenses or any of those operating pieces of dollars that need to happen in order to keep your business afloat. And then we have an end balance. So in April, we had our beginning balance of March, new dollars coming in, dollars coming out, and then an ending balance. And that ending balance is then again where you start May. And so you can see that there's a cycle here. And the more that you can have at the beginning of the month, the easier it is to actually start to plan your months accordingly. And you can see that there is an actual roadmap to making sure that you have enough dollars to cover those expenses. Here's another view of that same thing. So right here, what we've got in dark green, this is our income of money. So our revenue that has been received. And then we have our light green, this is our expenses. And then down here in blue, this right here is our net income. So what did we do to be able to say, we've got all of this revenue and hopefully we received it from the customer. And then we've got all of these expenses. So these are the dollars that we owe going out. And here's a little bit of leftovers. And so that net income is what we use to then continue to say, month after month, we've got that little bit of additional revenue that keeps some cash in the bank in order to be able to start the next month. And the more that you get in tune with the dollars that are coming in and the dollars that are going out, the better management decisions that you can make. And so if we think about managing our business, this is all about working on our business instead of in our businesses. So changing your perspective from being the doer in the business to being the manager, the operator of it. Because I know a lot of you have got goals. I know that a lot of you have got expectations and dreams for your business. And so you want to make sure that you've got cash flow to help bring people in and to help to keep moving forward to recognizing those goals. So let's think about some of those examples. So if we're thinking about income and we're thinking about ways to manage it, we can actually look, here's a pie chart where we can see all of our sales, all of our income. We've got it broken down to the different groups of income that we perform or services or goods that we sell inside of our business to bring in that income. So maybe this is we do some repair services. That's the largest part of our business revenue. We've got IT services and then consulting services. And then lastly, we might have some products. So maybe we're a service-based business and we're performing some functions. We have a little bit of maybe equipment that would go along with our services. So we can see in this pie chart what exactly is bringing in the most revenue. So maybe we could actually grow that area of our business. If we're paying attention to our financial statements, we can break down each of these categories of income in order to be able to say, let's explore new opportunities. And then if we also think about the operating expenses, so, businesses are expensive to run. You have all different kinds of expenses of money leaving your business. So we see another pie chart of examples of cost of goods sold, our advertising, very hypercritical, especially if you are a virtual business and you need to do virtual marketing. We've got auto expenses. Maybe you also go out and service, and then professional fees. So maybe you've got accounting, bookkeeping, or legal services. And then you've got some maintenance. And so, so on and forth. There's several different areas that the business expenses come into play. And I would say on a whole, payroll is going to be the biggest use of your dollars and your largest area of expenses. This is very normal. And that's why it's really important to pay attention to your cash flow, because if you pay payroll every Friday, you need to make sure that you're not waiting 30 or 60 or 90 days to receive that income, because you've got employees, they need to go buy groceries. They need to go get their diapers, whatever it is for their family, in order to be able to say they need that paycheck. You need to have the income and that revenue in order to support those employees. And then there's other ways that money leaves the business. So if we're thinking about cash flow, we also have this outflow of money that may not be operating expenses. It could be loans that we've gathered in order to be able to say, we need to have some growth, so we're going to ask for a capital loan to invest in our business for those opportunities. The whole reason to be in business is to feed the family, yourself, whatever. And so you want to make sure that you've got draws that are happening. And that's the fun part. So you're taking out the money of the business. And then you've got the savings for a rainy day. Yeah, I see this savings is like right now, it's really small, it's dwindling. So it's time to start thinking about, people are out, they're doing things, they're taking actions. This is your opportunity to take an action for your rainy day savings fund. And then there's also credit card debt. So this is where money, again, is leaving your business. And so these are all opportunities for managing your cash flow. And so you might be saying, oh, okay, those feel like, I understand that. But these are aha moments when you start putting it all together and you start thinking about the ways in which you can actually manage your cash flow and the ways in which that you have opportunities to actually grow. So this remaining cash that you have at the end of the month, that actually is a resource to be used for the beginning of the next month. So those dollars, you don't want to just take all of those home. You want to reserve some of those back so that way you can transition easily into that next month. So there's several tools that QuickBooks has created in order to be able to help you with managing your cash flow. So if you're a hands-on person and you say, I really like Excel, well, great. You've been covered here by QuickBooks Cash Flow Excel workbook. And that's going to allow you to put in all of your different variables. So how much money is coming into the business? How much money is going out of the business? How much money did you start the month off with? And then ultimately, how much money did you end the month in? And so this is a really nice hands-on tool that you can use in order to be able to manage that statement of cash flow in Excel. Again, this is a tool that QuickBooks has developed in order to be able to help you, the business owner, with managing your cash flow. So if you come through and you say at the beginning of the month, you're going to plug in those dollars and you could say X amount of dollars. And then you can say each of these areas are ways that you've got money coming into the business. And so you could say, I've got sales and I want to put in here X amount. And then maybe I've got some expenses and I need to put those in. And then I've got some more operating expenses. Maybe I've got advertising dollars that need to be spent. And then I've also got internet subscriptions. Maybe you've got some of those that are happening. You've got payroll. Again, I'm going to go ahead and give this a big number because that's a lot of the places where our money leaves a business. And then if we just stop right there and we move all the way down, we can say, what is our inflow and outflow of dollars? And what is our cash position at the end of the month? Because again, this dollar is going to flow over to the beginning of our month. And we're going to say for the next period, we had X amount of dollars, 3130, that is going to start our next month. So you can see this is a pretty easy way to go in and start to manage your cash flow in a very hands-on tool and that you have access to for free. We're looking at what comes next when we're thinking about cash flow. And we want to look at a tool that's actually available to you in QuickBooks Online. Maybe you really like the hands-on approach, or maybe you're saying, I'd really like something simple. I'd really like to be able to manage this statement of cash flow without plugging in the numbers. well, you're covered. And so there is actually inside of QuickBooks Online, there is a report that is called Statement of Cash Flow. And this report is going to take into effect all of the different variables that have happened within that month. And it's going to actually tell you your cash position at the end of the month. So this is a tool that you can use in order to be able to see how is your business performing and what is that cash flow. And we are going to move over into QuickBooks Reports Center. And so when we click over to the Reports Center, there's actually a whole bunch of list of reports here that we can use that are actually important whenever we're understanding our financial position. But we are going to actually type in Statement of Cash Flow into our search. And then here we can actually come up and we can see we want to look at last quarter. So whenever we click on that, we have an actual report that's going to tell us all of the net income, so all of the money coming in, all of the things that we've spent money going out, and then any investment opportunities. So we took advantage of something and we bought something. And then we can see what was our cash flow position at the beginning of that period, and then also what is our ending cash flow position. So if you say, I really would like to just have this tool that does this calculation for me, you're covered. Or you can do the other hands-on method. And I would actually suggest trying both, figuring out which way it is that you want to go into these different tools. So that way you can create a kind of an ownership of these different features. So that way you can manage your cash flow position better. And next, we're going to actually explore some more tools that are available. So QuickBooks listened and they created this whole suite of cash flow tools that we're going to explore. And there's quite a few of them. So I'm going to share with you that, wow, I mean, thank goodness now we have all of these different features that we're able to start managing our businesses in a way that's going to be able to present opportunities to us, because we're going to be able to have cash in order to take advantage of all of those various opportunities. So we're going to look at the QuickBooks Cash. We're going to look at QuickBooks Envelopes. And then we're also going to look at the QuickBooks Cash Overview section. And then also the planner, a forecaster, and budgets, and then additional resources that are available to us. So one of the things that has changed is that QuickBooks has heard that businesses are struggling with being able to manage electronic funds. And so no longer do we have like a cash box where that's all the money that we have. We had, maybe customers coming in, they gave us cash, we put in our cash box. And then at the end of the day, we paid for our goods or our payroll and then started all over again. We had the cash box and opened it up and we knew our cash position right away. Well, now that there's this increased use of electronic funds, it's more difficult to manage. And that has been acknowledged by saying, well, here's this ecosystem. And if you start to utilize some of these pieces, you too are going to be able to manage your electronic transactions and have that growth that you're looking for. So if we think about some of the tools that are located directly inside of QuickBooks Online, we have a center that is called Cash Flow. And in this center, we have an overview section. We also have a money in, money out section. And so this is going to tell us all of the dollars that we're expecting to come into the business, and then all of the dollars that we're expecting to leave the business. And so I think that this is a really fun section. We're going to actually look at this live, but I want to show you another tool that goes along with this that we can look at the same time whenever we go live. So that next tool is actually an integrated cash flow planner that's built directly inside of QuickBooks Online. And that planner uses the data that is part of your QuickBooks Online accounting system in order to be able to start making projections. And that planner is part of that artificial intelligence, that machine learning, that as you input data, it gets smarter and it can actually help you to forecast just directly inside of QuickBooks Online. These are free tools, and so they're super, super valuable in order to be able to learn how to use. So again, if we go back over into that cash flow center and we click on the other tab called Planner, then we're able to get started and make this plan that's going to pull in the last 3 months of data. And then we're going to be able to see our upcoming expenses and our upcoming income, and then be able to make some projections of cash flow based on the data that lives inside of your QuickBooks. So yes, it's true. It can actually do predictions for future events without you having to plug things into an Excel doc or plug things into some type of workbook, or heavens forbid, you're making notes on your Post-it notes. This kind of gets you out of that motto. And so we're able to see, we have that money bar grid where we've got money coming into the business and money going out. So this is a nice bar view. And we can drill into these details, and we can see that what QuickBooks has got is these little bitty little hashtags on these colored in boxes. And what that tells us is it's been sketched in. That is room for there to be some different choices that are made. If you're saying, oh my gosh, look, in June, I've got too much expenses and not enough income, well, then great. You can actually have time to make some planning to say, I need to maybe do some marketing. I need to do some advertising. And then we can also see a cash flow planner that's going to be all of the money that is projected. And we've got some opportunities here as well. And I'm going to go over to my navigation bar and I'm going to choose a new center. And this center is called cash flow. And inside the cash flow area, remember we talked about the overview area, where this overview is going to be telling us some information about our business. Now, this is a demo account, so forgive it for not quite being up to date, but I want to give you a sense of how this program works. And we can come over here and we can say all accounts have been connected to QuickBooks, and we're able to see our savings, our bank accounts, any credit cards or loan activity. And then we can actually scroll down here. And this is where I was saying that we could actually see our money coming in and our money going out in detail. And this money coming in, we could actually look at all of these various invoices. So we've got 7 invoices. It actually is going to take into the prediction that you've got some estimates that have been calculated. So you could go and view those, because we know that anything blue inside of QuickBooks is a hyperlink that's going to take us to more information directly inside of QuickBooks. So it's a really nice database. So we've got overdue invoices, we've got open invoices, we've got unbilled time activity. And then we've also got the money out section. And these are really great areas to be able to dive into to see, what bills do I have open? What's coming up? What things do I have that are overdue, and what bills do I have that are just open? So I could actually go over and look at reports from directly inside of the cash flow planning center of your QuickBooks. So this is where we can get an overview of how you're performing. But the next thing I want to show you is the planner, because the planner really starts to bring it into light, all of the different ways that you can track your money. So I'm going to start with being inside of the planner, and I'm going to look at my money in and my money out. And this is where I can say, these dates are historical. My grid is colored in, and my bar charts with solid numbers, because this is historical data. And then you can see where this is sketched in. Those are my projections. And by hovering over it, I can actually see exactly what's happening during that time and make some decisions of, wow, I have a lot of really big expenses coming out. Maybe you've decided that it's time to buy a new truck. Maybe you're deciding that it's time to invest in some new equipment. And you've decided that if I've got enough cash, I'm going to go ahead and pay for it. So whatever the expenses are, you can actually come in and you can look at your projection of cash flow. These data that's being pulled in can actually be changed to particular month views. So I can come over here and I can say, I want to look at 3 months worth of data. So I've got my April that's not completely finished yet. That's why I've got some projections. And then I've got my May, and my May is really telling me that I'm going to be hurting for cash because I don't have enough of it to support all of the expenses that I have going out. So how is that information collected? How does QuickBooks know how to make that planner and those projections? Well, it's pretty cool. And this is where QuickBooks has gotten smart and utilized all of that data that you're inputting and started to say, here, let's show you some things that used to be mysteries inside of your business. How do I do better? How do I plan? Now there's actual tools in here that is built for capturing all of the activity. So we can see we've got upcoming, what QuickBooks calls events. So these are upcoming events that are going to be happening. We've got a couple of bills that QuickBooks is using to say that's part of your projections. And then it's also got this in the past section. So we could go and dive into what all the past transactions were. And then we can see this other thing that's happening here. This little icon that looks like it's a space icon, it's because it's just out of this world cool. And what that's telling us is that it's pulling in some data that QuickBooks has found to say, you've been paying this vendor over and over and over and over again. Let's go ahead and pull that into the projections to say, chances are you're going to continue that behavior. We could also go in and we could put in some reoccurring transactions. If you're familiar with what those are, then that's not going to be a new terminology. If you're not, what reoccurring transactions are is it's an area of QuickBooks so that way you can enter in repetitive types of transactions, and the bookkeeping inside of QuickBooks, not things that are happening outside, can actually happen. So the bookkeeping is then used in order to be able to make these predictions. And so you can see I have lots of months worth of those predictions, and that is what helps to make up and determine what's happening inside of these projections, these bar charts. But there's other things that are inside of this planner that I want to share with you that are very cool tools. So I can go over here into my cash balance, and I can actually see I have a new view that I'm able to see on my screen. And this scale is going to be able to tell me my historical information. It's going to be solid lines. And then again, I've got my dotted lines for my projections. Let's go ahead and pull this out to a 12-month view so you can see how we did historically and then see our projections moving forward. And we can determine, ouch, we've got this huge expense that's coming out. And so what could we do in order to be able to plan for that giant expense? Maybe this is the opportunity to say, all right, we want to buy that truck. We thought maybe we'd have enough cash to do it, but that's really going to make us cash flow poor. And so that means we wouldn't be able to have enough money to operate the rest of our business. So instead, what we can do is we can say, maybe we should get a loan for that vehicle. Maybe we should not just try to have that as part of our just cash expenses that are going out. So we can actually add events to this section. So we could say, we want to add a projection. Let me move the whole screen up so you can see it. And so I clicked on add an event, and what popped up is I can have a timeline, and I can say, really, it's May that I need to have some money flowing in. And I can come over here and I could say, customer. And then I can come over here and I can say, I really need an inflow of money. Maybe I'd really like to have a $25,000 invoice. These are big dollars that I'm throwing in there because I just want you to see that you have some control over now changing your projections. This is a play area. This is a playground for you to go in and utilize these resources. This isn't necessarily an area that's going to post to your QuickBooks. So it's safe to come over here and play. I'm going to go back over to our presentation because I think there's a lot of value here. I just wanted to make sure that you know that you have this available resource. But you can see here's our cash balance. So that's what we were looking at. We were drilling into those numbers and we were making management decisions based on these projections. And here we were able to determine our events. So we were able to see our predictions. And then we can also say part of managing your virtual money is then also knowing that these resources are available to you. And so the QuickBooks ecosystem, there's several parts of that. That is things that are your QuickBooks Online account. That is also your QuickBooks Payment Merchant Service account. That's also a new thing that's called QuickBooks Cash. That's a bank account. The very cool thing about having a QuickBooks bank account is it's got some really amazing features that I haven't seen in any other bank account. And it is what we call envelopes. And so I'm going to show you what those envelopes look like. And then I don't know if this is going to make you have goosebumps like it does me, but I love this. So what this means to you is that if you have this QuickBooks Cash bank account, then you have what is considered virtual envelopes. And so you might have heard of some different programs that are out there that they help you to save money by storing it in cash envelopes and putting that away and saying, this is my budget for maybe groceries, or this is my budget for my mortgage, or whatever it is. Well, the same thing can be happening inside of your QuickBooks, inside of these virtual envelopes. So you can mark these envelopes to set aside money and earmark it directly inside of this QuickBooks Cash bank account. And it actually never leaves that bank account. It's just inside these separate little individual envelopes. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so you can say, I want to add a new envelope. And so when you do that, you're going to be asked, what are you saving for? And so you can have a couple of different things that are options. And then you can type in, this is my rainy day fund. Oh my gosh, we really need that right now, right? And so a lot of those have been ran dry. So you can say, how much money do you want to put in your rainy day fund? And what is the date that you want to make as your goal for meeting that rainy day fund balance? And so now that envelope is ready, you can start transferring money into that envelope. And so remember, this is a virtual transfer that's happening inside that bank account. So the bank account actually never has a smaller balance. It's just you're earmarking dollars inside of that bank account. That's really cool. Honestly, I haven't seen anything other than QuickBooks Cash that does this. And then what happens is you can go and you can spend money from that bank account. You can use a debit card, however. And then if you tried to swipe and you didn't have enough money inside of that bank account, it would say to you, hey, you've got money over in this envelope. Do you need access to it? Do you need to maybe transfer money out of this envelope because you need that money now? Because remember, it's savings. It's telling you, hey, you told us you wanted to have an opportunity to manage your cash flow. So these envelopes. So then the next thing you can do is you can actually transfer money out. Maybe you have reached your goal and you're like, this is exactly what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to transfer the dollars out of that envelope, put it safely inside of my rainy day savings account. And then you can move forward with being able to make other new envelopes for managing and making decisions. So that is what QuickBooks has done, is it's created this really nice ecosystem for you to be able to manage your business. The other thing that has become part of this QuickBooks Cash account is having instant deposits. Now, there is an additional 1% fee that is associated with having instant access. But instead of having this very slow, delayed 5-day deposit, you can actually have instant access to those invoices that you've received a payment from that very same day. So that's a really cool thing I wanted to point out. The other thing that we can have is reports to help you manage cash. So we have our profit and loss reports. Remember, this is telling us how much income that we've had, and then minus all of those expenses. And then we come down here to our bottom line and we can see our net income. So some of the things that are related to our profitability is being able to say, what are our open invoices? So there's a report inside of QuickBooks Online that is an open invoice report, and you can use that to say, who owes me money because I'm ready to collect. I've got payroll on Friday. I need my money. So you can go and say, here's my due date. I'm ready to get paid. And you can actually send some electronic reminders over to those people. And then another piece of managing your cash flow is then also paying attention to your payables. So what is the aging of those payables? So you can say, if it's current, don't let the money leave your door yet. Manage your cash flow by saying, I only need to pay the things that are due right now. And so maybe the things that are due is this $86. I need to pay that now because it's due. But then that saves me from spending $2,000 right now. I can actually stagger that out as money comes in. Let that money leave the business. That is smart. That is starting to build these scenarios where you're managing your cash flow. Another great tool is the budgets and forecast sections of QuickBooks. So if we think about budgets, this is a tool for you to be able to manage your budgets to help you to achieve your goals. Inside of QuickBooks Online, you can actually make a budget. Here's an example of that budget. And then you can say, I want to fill in each of these areas to be able to say, I have maybe a trend where I have seasonal business. I know that business picks up for me in certain months. So you could put in there this budget, what you expect to have in income, and then what you have to have in expenses. And then you can actually take that very budget that you create inside of QuickBooks Online, because it's part of your tools. And then you can come over into QuickBooks and then have a actual spending and income versus your budget. And you can see, how did you do? You budgeted $11,000. You actually received $6,800. So you're a little shy of your budget. What can you do in order to increase that volume? Same thing is true for expenses. And then we also have forecasting that's available to us. And the forecasting is all about building financial models to be able to say, we want to hit these goals. We want to manage our dollars so that way we can make the best decisions possible, because we want our businesses to thrive. We want your business to be successful in something that you enjoy instead of something that's dreaded. Because usually whenever I hear that people are dreading their business, it's because they're having a difficult time with just paying the bills, and that's exhausting. So there's ways to be able to do that. And one of those is to use the QuickBooks tools for being able to create a forecast. And this is actually a tool to help you forecast the next 12 weeks of your business. And you can see down here is a URL. It's very similar to what we were doing earlier in Excel, entering some dollar amounts for income and expenses, and then being able to say, let's plan that out over however many periods that you want to. So part of managing your business and managing your cash flow is also paying attention to who are your best revenue drivers. So maybe you have a particular type of client that you really enjoy working with. Maybe it's a particular industry, or it's a particular personality type, or it's a particular size. So if that is something that you want to acknowledge and go after, then you can start to replicate those types of customers if you're paying attention to your financials. Because one of the things that we don't want you to have is this really great customer that has this high volume of sales. Maybe they're promising $10,000 worth of sales, but then they're telling you it might take 90 days to get that money. Well, how are you going to manage all of your expenses in your employee payroll if it's going to take you 90 days to receive that cash? So you might think about, what are you going to do in the meantime to be able to possibly reduce your spending? Maybe ask for a loan. Maybe you need to explore some of those different possibilities and options to then optimize all of your spending and all of your resources to their greatest ability. So if we're thinking about all of the different areas of QuickBooks that you are focusing in order to manage your dollars, we can actually come over here and we can look at, we have so many tools that are available to us because QuickBooks wants you to have the business that you really, really want. And that is, at our firm, our core mission is to help small business owners create the lives that they really want. So what we do is we measure We come over and we say, do you have investment opportunities? What is your return on those different investments? Have you spent money in advertising? And then we enter the bookkeeping, or you enter the bookkeeping, and then we do analysis. And so each time that you look at those books and make those analysis, you're getting more business savvy. You're getting smarter about your very own business and how to run it. So there's a lot of resources that are available to you. And so one of those is available right here on this hyperlink that you can go in and you can look at this guide and this template that's available to be able to say, here's a way for you to organize your dollars, and here's a way for you to make a business budget. There's also another area that, what if you're a startup? QuickBooks has dedicated an entire section and resource center for you to be able to say, what do I need to focus on? What do I need for capital investment? So there's a whole section devoted to just startups with resources. So there's a great download. You can say it's a free ebook or playbook for businesses. And then also there's a great resource that is inside of that first link that is developed for you to be able to manage your business. And here you can actually say, how is this economy affecting businesses? What are businesses doing in order to be able to survive and thrive? So this is a great resource that you can follow this URL, and you can actually see the value of performing these different tasks directly inside of your business. So these are some very important key takeaways, making sure that you're managing cash flow, making sure that you're paying attention to all these free tools and included tools inside of QuickBooks Online. So that way you can understand your financial position and make the very best decisions for your business so you love it. And we also, over at Accounting Lifeline, we created a resource landing page for you. Maybe it's difficult to find all of these links. We wanted to make it easy. So you can hop directly over to our website and you can come over to a landing page that has all of these resources that I've shared today, and you can download those directly from those links there. You can also email us and ask us questions. And so I want to thank you for listening to today and my excitement and enthusiasm about cash flow.